Welcome to my Britwres journey. I'm Chris Lappin. I'm delighted to be joined online by commentator and podcaster Sonny G. How are you doing this evening, Sonny?
Yeah, all good. Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here. Thank you very much for having me.
Oh, yeah, it's great to have you on. I said it's been 2.5 years probably since I last had a commentator on. I think.
Wow. Okay.
That's it's got to be fun. Yeah, it's fun to get a different perspective of the industry. So I'm really looking forward to this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how's your 2022 go around the
busy.
wrestling ring?
Yeah, real busy. Probably the busiest I've had yet, and it's I think definitely the year that I felt like I branched out a lot more in terms of the promotions that I did and sort of the scale of the promotions that I did. But yeah, overall it was super busy, and I'm very grateful for that. I mean, I've been doing this for like 5 years now.
Oh wow!
So
yeah.
A little while, but yeah, 2022 was definitely the year that I felt like I elevated a little more than years gone by.
Yeah, Wrestle Carnival must be. It's probably the second, third, fourth biggest promotion in the country this quickly. It's only been around 18 months, 2 years.
Yeah.
And I've got the first 3 shows on DVD. I haven't watched the I haven't had a chance to watch anything recently, but it's such a Gary's put together such an amazing show in such a short amount of time, and it's the scale and the look of it. It looks like a proper. This could be on telly type of thing.
Yeah, and you know what? When you're there, it feels like that as well. So the first one that I did for them, I actually did in post.
Yeah.
Which was the Hunt. Was where it was Crowley against Max the Impaler.
Yes, I love the build. The build for that match was hilarious.
Oh, I know. I mean, Crowley is absolutely awesome. But that's the first show that I did for them, and then they moved to the HMV Empire in Coventry, and that was the first show that I did live for them. And you know, you get there, and you know, it's an unbelievable venue. You know, you're looking around, and you've got the rigging and the lights and just the whole aesthetic of the venue is absolutely incredible. Myself and RC, we're on the stage, and the first match out is Scotty 2 Hotty versus Crowley.
Yes.
So, you know, the Scotty 2 Hotty comes out, Too Cool music is playing, and he's doing the dance in front of us, and you're like, and he's got pyro and smoke, and you're sitting there and you're thinking, this is absolutely crazy that we're sitting here doing this in this amazing venue. And what they've done in such a short space of time is nuts. So I can only imagine that the sky's the limit for Wrestle Carnival. It's a real pleasure to work there, and it's different. You know, just because of the sheer scale of it more than anything else.
Yeah, my co-host Lance Rivera is going to be on the next show, and he's so excited for it. It's just, to be, because he's got to in the Northwest. He's like main eventing nearly everywhere. So to him to branch out, it's amazing, and for him to get in front of a new audience and get to that level. Because my prediction for him this year was to be on the WWE network, but then Progress and ICW on the network anymore. So I was like,
no.
So unless he gets to the NXT Europe.
The thing is, though, now you know, there's so many eyes on British wrestling and wrestling around Europe that I don't think you need to be on the WWE network to be noticed these days.
No, definitely. Yeah, but I love Wrestle Carnival. But I did listen to one of your shows, and you said you were thinking about quitting last year or so because you had like imposter syndrome, has being on like places like Wrestle Carnival kind of brought you up to that level. You're like, I deserve to be on these shows, and it's like.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think the issue was when I first started. I mean, I started out basically solo in it, or everywhere that I went, and then you know, the more places that you do, you get people thrown with you.
Yes.
So whether that's injured wrestlers or people just helping out on the show, looking for something to do. And there's, you know, a lot of the time commentary is an afterthought, whereas in my opinion, it shouldn't be. I know I'm going to be biased because I am a commentator, but, you know, when you see clips and stuff online, you know, I feel like the commentary sort of enhances those clips. Otherwise, it's just wrestling and mat noises, you know?
Yeah, I remember going to watch my first WWE show, and it was so weird to watch a live show without commentary. I'm like, oh, it's weird.
Yeah, and it is weird, and it's, you know, it's one of those things that, you know, I do feel that commentary adds an awful lot to wrestling. And, you know, when I was going, you know, like I said, when I first started out, I was doing a lot of the shows on my own. And then I started getting people just put with me who weren't commentators. Like I said, whether that is ex-wrestlers or people just helping out on the show. And you just sort of like, you feel like, you know, you're not supposed to be there. You're just there for, I don't know, just for the sake of being there. And then, you know, there's a voice on your show or whatever. But it does give you that sort of sense of imposter syndrome where, you know, you know, the focus is always on the wrestlers and the wrestling. And I get that 100%. I get that. They're not there to watch commentators. They're there to watch wrestling. But yeah, you know, I was very lucky. I felt very lucky. APW in Telford, where, you know, a couple of shows I had been just put with people.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was put with RC Chaos, and they were on the day were sort of like, right, you're going to be doing commentary with RC Chaos today. And I was like, okay, great. I have no idea who that is. So I sat down. It was like, hi, I'm Rob. I was like, hi, I'm Sonny. I literally just thought this is going to be another one of those forgettable, you know, nights of commentary. And, you know, I was getting to a point where it was like, I don't know how much longer I can do this. Because, you know, I can't, you know, there's no steady partnership out there. People want a commentary team. And me on my own, I just can't provide that. But then, yeah, I mean, the first time we met each other, me and Rob, we just hit it off on that night. And then we just sort of started picking up a real sort of momentum.
Yes, definitely.
And we started, you know, we started doing APW consistently. And then I was going to be doing Wrestle Carnival. But then sort of Gary said, have you got anyone that you could do it with? And I was like, well, you know, I was just thinking me and Rob are doing pretty good here. So I suggested him, and then he started doing Wrestle Carnival shows with me. And that consistency has made me want to continue with it, because we've built such a good partnership over a very short space of time. Less than a year we've been doing commentary together. So, you know, now that I've established that partnership, that sort of imposter syndrome has gone away, because I know what I'm going into shows to do.
Yes,
you know,
definitely.
and I know who I'm going to be doing it with, and the quality that I can of the commentary that we're going to be able to put out. So no longer you think, oh, what's tonight going to hold for me? You know, I love doing this and I love being here, but what am I in for tonight? Now I know with every show that I go to what I'm going to be doing, who I'm going to be doing it with, and, you know, like I said before, the quality that we're going to be able to put out. So yeah, that level of imposter syndrome has definitely got. I think if I'd have gone into Wrestle Carnival myself, I don't think I'd be doing it now.
No, it's amazing that you're now feeling that you've to get over that, because I went through, I wasn't in foster food, but I had a mental health breakdown last year, and part of that was my role in my job. My whole office had changed, and I think I just couldn't figure out what my role in that office was, and it's took until now, I reckon, the last 2 months, that I've found what my role in the office is now. Because I've been in the same office for 20 years. And I'm the last one of everybody who I started with. So but so I think part of me getting signed off for 3 months was I just couldn't figure out what my role was.
Yeah, but sometimes now, you do need a break.
Oh yeah, it was the best thing that ever happened to me, having them 3 months off.
Yeah,
I went from being nearly 18 stone. I'm 40 and 8 now. yeah, I've discovered a love for the gym. I started wrestling training for some reason at 41, but I'm doing it with my
Hey,
17-year-old.
Never
Yeah,
too old.
everyone keeps saying my knees think I'm too old, and my hips think I'm too old. But yeah, I'm doing it with a 17-year-old son, and he's loving it. And it's just So I think finding that space in your life that you're like, yes, and I know what's going to happen is very important. And
it was sort of just waiting for that direction. You know what I mean? Because I was just popping up at shows here and there, catching bookings and stuff like that, and it was great, but I just felt no real sense of direction with it, and I think that was what I was really struggling with. I was going to these shows and on my own, so you just sort of keep yourself to yourself, and you don't feel part of the show, you don't feel part of the business. But since partnering with Rob, it's given me that sense of direction, and it's given me that I belong here type thing, and my voice adds 2 shows, and it's a great feeling to see clips being shared online from people that you consider big stars, especially in this country, and they're sharing clips with your voice on it, and it's a great feeling. It really is.
Yeah, it is a very important. So I remember my mum saying when I was little that her favourite part of the show was the commentary team, because it was like Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby Heenan, or or Vince in there just calling everything a maneuver and stuff like that. Giving my age away now. That's how old.
Hey, look, I'm not far behind you. I'm not.
Yeah, but you can notice when like a bad referee can ruin a show, a bad commentary can ruin a show. You could have the best wrestler in the world, but you have a bad anything else could ruin a show. But you could have a bad wrestling match, but a great referee or a great commentator can enhance that match to a level that's like,
and that's what we're there for, to sort of, I mean, a lot of the guys and girls that I call matches for are just doing a phenomenal job. There's so much incredible talent in this country, but you are there to put the final pieces of the story together. There's only so much they can do in the ring, and obviously it always comes across fantastic live. But when if you're sitting at home watching wrestling, you need that full presentation. It'd be like watching football with no commentary. It's just boring.
Yeah.
The match can be as exciting as anything, but you need that. You need that additional sort of piecing together, that additional noise, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, I've got to a point where I barely like watching football by myself. I need to be with people to watch it. Yeah, because that was when I was at my height of watching. But yeah, we used to go to the pub with my mates and watch it. It was a social aspect of it that I loved. But just sitting and watching them. So I used to host a football podcast for years.
Okay.
I got to a point where I just stopped watching football because I wasn't going out as much because I had family commitments and stuff.
Sure, yeah.
So I got to the point where I think I was literally just asking questions and people would answer them, and I was like, I'm not having discussions now, so it's not as fun. I just didn't have an opinion, I think, because I wasn't following it. I was like, I'm really looking forward to we're going to United versus Barcelona in the pub on the 23rd, and I'm really excited for that. So
nice.
Yes. Get to that stage of life where you have to book. We're going to the pub a month in advance. Yes.
I'm lucky, you see. My wife doesn't mind watching the football with me, so I've sort of got her into it now. We've been up to Old Trafford a couple of times this season already to watch United, so yeah.
Well, my partner only likes watching Liverpool or England, but she only likes watching important England matches, and if Liverpool aren't playing well, she'll just look at her phone and huff. So we don't tend to watch football that much at home. But
fair.
And my 17-year-old's got no interest in football at all. I've hoped as he got older he might develop a taste for football. But yes,
but it sounds like he likes wrestling, so that's.
He loves wrestling. Yeah, he's the person that got me back into wrestling. So.
Oh, okay, that's great. That's awesome. It's good that when you find that sort of thing. It's cool that you can do that and enjoy it together. I think that's great.
Yeah. Because I stopped watching wrestling-ish when I was about 16, 17, so mid-90s. Just before probably the Attitude Era got huge.
Okay.
And didn't properly get back into it until 2011. I was kind of keep up with it. I was dipping in and out. Like I got back into it in 2001 when I heard the invasion was happening. So that was for like 6 months, and then I moved out, didn't have Sky. so I couldn't watch it for like years. And it was like 2006, heard ECW was starting again. Oh, I'll watch this for a bit. And then, yeah, CM Punk kept me in for a bit, and then 2011 he got into wrestling, so then we started watching it ever since. It's like back into it.
It'll always drag you back in. That's the thing I've always found with it. You can sort of fall, you can fall sort of out of love with it a little bit because there's so much of it.
Oh, these days it's so hard.
It's nuts, and it's so difficult to keep up with, and sometimes you just lose your way with it. But it just somehow always drags you back in. It's got this weird magnetism wrestling has. It just does just drag you back in.
Yeah, the little that I did watch it, I would be just hungover in bed on a Sunday after going to Crazy House, just just dying in bed. So that's easy to watch. Just put that on. But,
yeah.
Right, so this will give your age away. Who was your favorite wrestler growing up?
Hogan.
Ooh,
yeah.
Man.
I was always a Hogan guy, and I think it's just because of the age that I started watching wrestling. So I started watching wrestling around WrestleMania 6. So I'm 38. So I started watching wrestling around WrestleMania 6, and of course that year was Hogan Warrior for both the IC and the WWF Championship. So, and I was always a Hogan guy. I had the Hulkamania Forever video. I had the Hulk Hogan wrestling buddy and action, and Hasbro figure. Still fuming to this day that Ultimate Warrior won that match, but yeah, I was always a Hogan guy. And then it went to The Rock when just before he turned just as he turned into The Rock. So as he came out of Rocky Maivia into The Rock.
So the Nation of Domination period.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So because I'd stopped watching around 95, 96 as well. I think it's just because I was sort of getting to that age.
It was bad.
It was terrible. Yeah, it was really, really bad. And
we tried to watch the Raws during lockdown. We used to watch the Raws. And we tried it twice, and every time we got to like 95, we just couldn't watch it anymore. When Mabel becomes like main event, you're like, oh, it's so bad.
Yeah, it's really, really bad. And it's like, you think you're too cool for it at that point. And so I stopped watching for a bit, and then I got back into it around the 98 Rumble. Yeah. Which is a great Rumble. And The Rock did a promo, and it was a bit edgier than what I remembered wrestling to be. It actually gone a bit grown up. We're just about to head into the Attitude Era, DX era thing at this point, obviously. So, yeah, then it sort of turned to The Rock. And then, I don't know if I really have favourites these days. But, yeah, Hogan, it was definitely Hogan growing up.
Yeah, I struggle to think of what my favourite would be these days. I always liked Aleister Black, but I wouldn't say he'd ever be like in my top 10 wrestlers of all time.
Yeah, especially not now. Now that he's, I mean, they're doing okay in AEW, but they're not pulling up trees.
No.
I think if if he'd have stuck around in WWE, if he wasn't released from WWE, and then the whole Triple H takeover of creative would have been around at that point, I think Aleister Black would have been a huge player in WWE, perhaps even sort of pushing up towards sort of WWE Championship level. But to be honest, I'm a bit of a sucker for Cody these days. I hated him in AEW, but I think it was just the try hard of trying to beat down WWE. And when he realised that wasn't going to happen, and he left, and now he's back, and I'm a bit of a sucker for Cody these days. But it's just something about when that music hits. It comes out and the ridiculous fireworks. There's almost sort of like a throwback style nature to it, and I like that.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think I've had a proper favorite. Macho Man. As I was younger, then I had Shawn Michaels. Then when I got back into it, it was RVD, and then CM Punk. So I don't think I've had a proper "He's my man" since CM Punk back during his WWE run.
I love that run when he was the champion. When he was champion for so long, and he was a heel, and he had Heyman with him. Phenomenal, just absolutely phenomenal. Literally second to none at that point. Obviously called himself the best in the world. I don't think he was the best wrestler in the world, but I think he was absolutely the best personality that they had at the time. And I was a big CM Punk guy, and it really turned me against him when he left WWE in the way that he did.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, it's good that he didn't come just carry on doing something. Because it was quite sad seeing him come back in like his 40s into AEW. It was great seeing him back, but
For sure.
he wasn't the same guy. He was.
No, definitely not. I mean, I always say this with wrestling, and CM Punk is a good case in point with this. Is your body changes as you get older. Your limitations change, and he was trying to still be CM Punk of 10 years ago when he should have sort of realized his body's limitations and worked to them. Work smarter. You don't need to be doing springboard clotheslines and stuff like that in in your 40s or whatever. Just unless you know that your body is fully capable of it, work to your limitations, and you can still be a great worker.
How they use an Edge in WWE is perfect. So he comes back, has a little run, then he's off telly for months, let himself recover, and then he comes back, does a little run. Yes, he gets
perfect
injured.
Example.
Yes,
get injured. Yeah, they do the injury angle, but then he comes back. But yeah, that's a perfect example of it. And I think Jericho seems to look after himself very well, and obviously Jericho's sort of in his 50s now, and he wasn't looking too great at one point, but he's now in phenomenal shape. But he doesn't need to work every week. He just doesn't, and he keeps himself fresh with the constant sort of way that he works his whole gimmick, and the fact that he's so adaptable. So Jericho's quite a good example of working smarter.
And he doesn't do loads of single matches. He's in tags a lot, or he's in multi-person matches a lot.
Yeah.
Or he's just talking a lot and doing songs with MJF.
Yeah.
I still love that Me and My Shadow segment. It's one of my favourites.
It was great, to be fair. It was different at the time. People hated it on the internet as well, which was the funniest thing.
Yeah, I loved it. It was one of my granddad's favourite songs, Me and My Shadow. So
yeah, it was cool, man. It was cool.
So you mentioned you've worked for all these companies. How did you actually get into the business itself back in the day?
So it was by chance, really, because we were doing the Games and Graps podcast, and we've been doing it for a long time now. And
2016, I think, did you start to read that?
Maybe it could very well be. You might be right. I can't remember now for the life of me. But my buddy Rich, he's my buddy now. He wasn't then. They were starting up Turnbuckle TV, which then obviously later moved into Powered 4 TV. And I reached out to him just to see if there was anything that the podcast could sort of offer this new platform. Me and Rich got talking, and I started to feel like I could contribute something. I didn't know what, but I've always wanted to be a part. I've been watching it since I was 6 or whatever. So so you think I'd love to be involved a bit more. Maybe I could try my hand at commentary, because I could talk and do a podcast. I know wrestling moves because I'm a move geek. So I messaged him. I was like, "Do you think you could get there could be an in for me somewhere?" And my local promotion to where I live was Wrestling in Hinckley. So I spoke with Tom, who runs Wrestling in Hinckley, TJ Sky, great guy. And I was like, "Look, I'd like to try my hand at commentary. Do you think it's something that would be possible?" And he was like, "Yeah, look, here's the footage from the last show. Go for it." So I did it. And it just sort of took off from there very quickly as well. It was sort of like, I think Rich helped a lot, because he was sort of saying, "Oh, this guy does commentary now." So because they were getting a lot of shows come back to them to put on their on demand that didn't have commentary. So he was sort of suggested me to do commentary for some of these promotions, and it just sort of took off from there. So I ended up sort of doing DKW, which is based in Essex, and then I did DNA, who were based in Ipswich. I did a few of their shows. And it all just sort of took off, and it was basically like that. So by chance, more than anything.
Was there somebody you wanted to like mold your style around when you started? Or...
I'm a big fan of seeing moves called. So I'm a big play-by-play guy, and when I was growing up, it was always sort of JR and the King, and before, especially around that time, and then before that, of course, it was Monsoon and the Brain and Vince and stuff. But around that time, it was Mauro Ranallo He was just doing unbelievable work in NXT. And I loved the way that he told the stories and the way that he called the moves. And I was like, oh man, this is so awesome. He just breathes life into this already great product, and he takes it and he elevates it. So around that time, when I started getting into commentary, it was Mauro who I wanted to sort of to sort of base any sort of commentary style on, because it felt modern, it felt fresh, and he was calling the moves, and it felt very knowledgeable. And that's the kind of thing that I wanted to bring to some of these shows, to see if I could help elevate them shows in the same way that Mauro would elevate NXT at that point.
Yeah, I loved his style. I loved the way he'd always throw in pop culture references, but he'll call it, but he's so quick the way he spoke, and I was like, loved it. That's it.
Yeah.
Was it difficult doing shows that you weren't at, and maybe not knowing the wrestlers, and because they'll have a move, but they'll probably call it something different? So it's like, did you ever have to reach out to people and say, what is your finisher called? Or just like,
sometimes, but it's weird because I was going to shows, especially in the early days of me doing commentary, and people just didn't have names for their moves, and a lot of them still don't. You ask them, what the names of their moves are, and they're just like, I don't really have any, because sometimes I guess commentary was something that I guess wasn't as common as it is now. I mean, there's so many great commentators in this country, but people just weren't naming their moves. So I was just calling it what I knew the move as.
Yeah.
No one ever sort of came back to me and was like, hey, this is what my move's called. Why didn't you call it that? So it was difficult in the beginning because there were guys and girls that I'd never seen before, and I can hold my hand up and be like, look, I was new to the scene at this point. So I had no idea who some of these people were. So, trying to remember fresh names was enough at the start, let alone trying to remember their moves and stuff as well. But it's not too much of an issue now. The only person I had to ask for their moves recently was Lizzie Evo, and I messaged her and I was like, look, what are your move names? And she's like, because obviously she's a big Liverpool fan, and she was like, the Klopp drop, and I was like, I'm not saying this Liverpool garbage on my commentary. You can absolutely do one. She was like, you haven't got to say them if you don't want to. So she wasn't asked, but I did it begrudgingly through gritted teeth.
Yeah, she's amazing.
She's great, yeah.
Yeah, my finisher's got to be called Dark Shadow, but I have absolutely no idea what the finisher is yet.
You got a name. Fair enough. I like that. Yeah, I love that you got a name for it, but no actual move to tag to it. I think that's great.
Well, my original, I'm thinking, I love the crossface chicken wing, so I was like, but
yeah,
you don't tend to get submission moves on the indie shows.
No, but you should. Paul Heyman said something once that I always found interesting, and I carry it with me all the time. It's like anything can be put over as a finisher.
Yes.
If you or if it's sold in the correct way, a sleeper hold in 2023 could still be a finisher.
Oh, definitely.
And you never see the crossface chicken wing.
I love it.
Ever. I mean, Bob Backlund obviously used to do it, but I'm trying to think who did it in WCW. I can't remember, but crossface chicken wing can absolutely be a finisher in 2023. Bring that back.
Yeah,
you can reinvent the submission game on the indies, and I'd love that.
Yeah, Dark Shadow.
There it is, the Dark Shadow. Crossface chicken wing, Dark Shadow.
That's from My Hero Academia, because the guy has Dark Shadow. My son's got me into that recently.
Hey man, so many people are into anime these days. My nephew is nuts on it.
Mm. It's one of them things. Just none of my friends were into it, so it's just something I've never got into. But yeah, he likes it. And yeah,
hey,
if he's off college and I'm working from home that day, that we'll just sit there and we'll just binge. So do you have like a favorite moment or a favorite match you've commentated on? Or?
Favorite match? I don't know. I mean, I've had some I've been very lucky, especially over the last year, to have some cool moments. Calling, and probably the biggest star that I'd done at the time was Eric Young.
Yes.
So Eric Young wrestled for APW, and that was the first show that I did with RC Chaos, actually, and that was the start of our commentary partnership. So for us to sort of sit there and that be the first night of our sort of, commentary partnership to sit there and call Eric Young in the main event of that show where he wrestled Luke Basham that night for the APW Championship, and that was very cool. And he was a great dude as well. But being able to sit there whilst people that you've watched on TV are wrestling in front of you. Especially, Wrestle Carnival when Scotty 2 Hotty came out, and you're like, this is insane to me because I grew up watching the Attitude Era. I had a Too Cool T-shirt. I used to be Scotty 2 Hotty on SmackDown 2 and WWF No Mercy and stuff like this. And now the guy is on the same show as me, and just being able to interact with these people and they're your peers for the night is crazy to me, and it's still crazy to me now. Like I met Alexander Wolf, Axel Tischer, on the first Wrestle Carnival show we did in Coventry, and I was like, it was so weird because I met you at Download Festival and got your autograph on like a WWE autograph sheet thing, and now I'm here working commentary on the same show that you're working, and it's nuts. And he was like, "Hey, it's effing awesome." And he was a great dude as well. So being able to work with these people that I've watched on TV, it's just so cool for me. Still, you call so many matches, it's very difficult to sort of pinpoint one. But the moments, I think being at shows and just seeing it all unfold as something you've always sort of dreamed of doing as a kid, and then when you become an adult and you get to be a part of it all, that's the coolest thing for me, and it's still cool now. It just doesn't get old. I love being a part of it, and that's the coolest moment for me. It's just being a part of it. So it's difficult to pinpoint one match or one moment, but the Eric Young one felt like a turning point in my personal commentary career.
I'd love them to bring back Sanity now under Triple H because I loved them in NXT.
Eric Young's apparently re-signed with WWE. He's not come back yet, but apparently Eric Young has re-signed with WWE. That's why he's not in Impact anymore, because they did the thing in Impact where they killed him off, and that was basically everyone was reporting almost straight away after that episode of Impact aired that he'd re-signed with WWE, but we've just not seen him back yet.
Ooh, I've not heard that. That'll be fun because they've kind of said Nikki back a bit. NXT Nikki, so like,
Triple H is undoing the crap stuff that Vince did. So, well, I think we'll start to steadily see things trickle back to. Well, we already are. I mean, I think WWE is great at the minute. So,
yeah, I'm loving it. Yeah, it is weird seeing people like I interviewed years ago, but like I interviewed LA Knight.
Oh wow! Okay.
Years and years. So seeing him on Royal Rumble against Bray Wyatt, it was like, yes, I interviewed you years ago when you were the Hollywood He-Man, Eli Drake.
What was cool? I did a podcast a few years back before I was a commentator. I did a podcast with Just Incredible.
Yes.
That was surreal, man. Like it was so weird, like talking ECW and WWE with him. And then after we'd done the podcast, he FaceTimed me from wherever he was. It was snowing crazy. And he was just such a nice dude. He was like, "Thank you so much for doing the podcast and taking the time out to do it." And it's like, wow, okay, that's right now the ECW geek in me is flipping out inside. But I'm going to be cool because I'm on FaceTime to you and pretend that this is not bothering me whatsoever. So yeah, it's such a cool business to be a part of, and especially when it's something that you never think you'd be able to be a part of, because it always felt, especially when I was a kid, and I guess when you were a kid, it always felt very, you have to be in America to be part of this. Because the British scene, although there was one, it was very much fake Kane, fake Undertaker, fake Rock.
It's
your local leisure centre.
Yeah, but you go to Butlins to watch the wrestling, and it's also
exactly, yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to have been a scene when I was little, or even in my early 20s, if there was training schools and stuff. That's what,
yeah. Hey, look, like I said, never too old. You're all good. EDP didn't start until what? Until his 40s?
I think. No, I think he's early in that. I think he started training in his late 30s. So, yeah.
There you go. You see, never too old.
No. Like one of my favourite wrestlers, local Mr. Williams, he didn't start till he was 38, and he's in the best shape of his life now at 46. So I was like, oh.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I love it. Yeah. Just kind of wish I started. I didn't have to wait till I could get to 18 stone and have a mental breakdown to get into this fitness thing. So
hey, look, you've all got to start somewhere. The only reason I sort of started getting fit and stuff is because I had bad food poisoning. It's weird, the things that kick you into shape, and the most important thing is sort of where you go from here.
Yeah, I just say, and my coach Sean Only, he was like, yeah, he's just really impressed of how my fitness has gone over the last 9 months, and I'm keeping up with all these younger guys. Because until recently, I think I was probably the oldest there by at least 10 years. So but now a couple of older people have joined. But yeah, I'm just really proud of myself to be able to do it, because this time last year I was getting tired going up the stairs. So now that's
and you should be proud. You know, now what you need to do is pull out that crossface chicken wing and show the youngsters how it's really done.
I thought that could be a fun gimmick. Why you keep putting me against these kids? I should be on the main show. I shouldn't be on the trainee show. I'm 40 years old.
just killing them all with this crossface chicken wing. That'd be sick.
Yes.
I love that.
Cool. So did you start wanting to be only a commentator, or did you ever have any ambitions of becoming a wrestler?
I think you do when you are a kid. But again, when I was growing up, it didn't really feel like it was there.
No.
And the option was there. I mean, it may very well have been, but I think there's a lot of training schools now that perhaps wasn't then. So as much as I would have loved to have been, me and my friends, we obviously goofed around with doing backyard stuff when we were younger and whatnot. And a lot of people get their start that way. I mean, but I never thought it was something that I'd be capable of.
No.
As much as I would have loved to, for sure, I never thought it'd be something that would be able to happen. And I felt, by the time I'd sort of got into the industry through doing commentary, I really felt like the ship had sailed. Do I think the ship has sailed now? I think the ship is very much back in the dock. But I'm... Have
you had a training session?
It's something that is absolutely being considered currently, but I'm not. So the dream is still alive. I'll say at the minute.
Yeah.
So yes, is the answer to the question. Yes, I would have always loved to be a wrestler, but just to be a part of the industry at all was something that I never thought could happen, and the fact that it has and is currently is awesome. But I would love to see, even if it's just one match. Yeah. Just one match, just to say I've done it.
Yeah. I keep saying to my girlfriend, that was my thing when I started. I was my girlfriend, I just want to have one match, and now it don't turn into I want to have one good match.
Yeah, I'm not gonna push the boat out that far and think I'm gonna have one good match. I just want to have one match, and I'll be happy.
Oh, not even good, competent, competent matches.
Yeah, I want to have an okay match where I don't fall through the ropes on the way into the ring, and I'll be happy.
Yeah. You were announced to be part of the main event game?
Yes. That's awesome. I mean, that's another cool thing. Again, another thing that you never think is going to be able to happen.
No.
And then
I interviewed James, the developer, a couple months ago, and it sounds like it's going to be a really fun game.
Oh, dude, I'm so excited just to have your image and your name, and to be a character in a game. This nuts to me. Again, somebody who's grown up playing video games and watching wrestling, does a podcast about that very subject. To be able to be in a video game and advertised in a video game it's nuts. I can't wait to see it. 100% will be hiring myself. My fee will be cheap, so I'll be able to build my promotion by paying me pittance. So that's it's a cool thing. It's so crazy as well that it's gonna be happening.
Yeah, BBG Wrestling, with the umbrella of these podcasts, is in indie wrestling. We're one of the people you're going to have an interview with. It's Cultaholic and Talk Wrestling, and somehow, because we interviewed the guy, he put us in the game.
No, that's so awesome, though. You know,
it's amazing.
It's so crazy, and I mean that's got to be cool for you, though, right?
Oh yeah,
to see your podcast in
yeah.
the
I played the game for about 3 weeks, just waiting. I was like, "Wow, I want to do an interview." BBG Wrestling.
Yeah.
And when it happened, I was like, "Yeah."
Yeah, I mean, it's another cool thing to add to the endless list of cool things to have happened since being part of, you know, professional wrestling. But that one's crazy to me. People, you know, you'd be able to get it on Steam and stuff when it comes out, but you'll be able to hire me as a commentator in the game. And to me, that's crazy. It really is crazy. But so cool. So cool. I'm such a geek for stuff like that as well. I love video games. And I love pro wrestling. So I've always felt the two go together, hence why I do the podcast. But for that to happen is an unbelievably special moment for me, and I can't, you know, express my gratitude enough to the guys behind the main event game for even being willing to have me in the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can't wait for it to come out. It sounds really fun.
Sure.
Yeah, you've mentioned a few times. Away from the ring, you host a few podcasts, but we're going to focus on Games and Graps. So I want to say I love games, but I do literally like playing wrestling games, football manager games, a bit of FIFA.
Games. Doesn't matter. It does not matter how casual you are with games. Games are games. I'm a firm believer in that.
Yeah, I'll play. Yeah, I still play Here Comes the Pain. It's my favorite game. It's
the best wrestling game ever made, and I will hear nothing else. I will hear nothing bad said about Here Comes the Pain ever, because it's so awesome.
Yes.
What was so awesome about it at the time is that it was different to, you know, because I love the SmackDown series anyway, but when Here Comes the Pain came out, it felt different because the art style was different, even to that of SmackDown 4. Mm-hmm. It felt a lot. Don't know. The character models are awesome in it. And I've played it very recently as well, and it still holds up even now. What's great, and it's this weird thing to say as a commentator, no commentary makes that game better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Commentary's, that's the one thing they need to fix on wrestling games.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, even my friends who didn't like wrestling loved playing Here Comes the Pain because it was so arcadey. And it's just like,
that's it, yeah. First one of the games to have the elimination chamber in as well. And everything about that game felt next level, like a big step up from SmackDown Shut Your Mouth, which was the one before.
Yeah.
I still think it's amazing now.
Yeah. Because the games after that, I just didn't. I think I liked SmackDown versus Raw, but then after that,
one's really good.
Yeah, it just seemed to go downhill. Because our favorite thing on the Here Comes the Pain, we made our roster. You could have 32 creator wrestlers, and it'd all fit on one roster. And if you deleted enough of the real wrestlers, you could have a whole roster of just your created wrestlers, and then the Raw or SmackDown would be all real wrestlers. Yeah, so you could just and there was a way if you could make, if you copied one of your created wrestlers, the person you copied would have the same abilities as that one. So you kind of make a whole roster. You have jobbers and big card if you and you have main events. It's like, we spent far too much time playing this.
No such thing. I absolutely love Here Comes the Pain. Me and my buddies, we used to play WrestleMania 2000 from the N64 back in the day, and we used to we had our championships that we created, and every time we got together, which was a lot, we'd sort of play, and they're the best of times when, you know, those kind of, that's why I love video games, especially old video games, because you always have those sort of memories attached to them. And when you go back and play them now and they're still so good, you know, those memories just come flooding back, and there's nothing like a bit of video game nostalgia for me.
Yeah, it was either Grand Theft Auto San Andreas or Here Comes the Pain. We tend to play a lot. I'd say I never actually played San Andreas. I just used to watch my friends play it. So I just enjoyed the story.
That's fair. Totally fair.
Yeah, so tell us about the podcast.
So I mean, with the Games and Graps, we've been through a few different names, but it was just I used to listen to there was a podcast that I liked called PS I Love You XOXO, which is a PlayStation podcast. It used to be hosted by Greg Miller, who is now part of Kind of Funny Games. I think that podcast was part of Kind of Funny Games. I can't remember either way. And Colin Moriarty. And I loved the way that they talked so in depth about video games and went into sort of the industry stuff that you never really hear or pay attention to. So I messaged my buddy Finn, who I used to work with, and we always got on because we both for our love of video games and wrestling. And I was listening to these podcasts, and I was like, I'd love to do this. So, and I didn't really know anyone that I could do it with, and I didn't want to do it on my own. So I messaged Finn out of the blue one day. And I was like, look, Finn, are you still playing video games? Knowing full well the answer would be yes. And he was like, yeah, I am. Are you still watching wrestling? And I was like, yeah. And I was like, look, I've got an idea. I don't know what you think, but would you kind of want to record a podcast? And he's like, yeah, sure, why not? So he came to mine later that week. We did it in such a crap way. So because we had none of the gear at this point.
Yeah.
So we had the ideas, all the gear, all the ideas, no gear. So that was what it was at the time. So we sat on the same table, iPad in the middle with its speaker, with its microphone, and we just recorded the podcast through GarageBand. Yeah, I know. And it just sort of took off from there, and we started doing some streaming as well on YouTube, and then we decided to sort of take it into video form. And it's definitely, I mean, you listen to those first episodes, I'm sure they're terrible. I've never gone back and listened to them, but we're like 168 episodes deep at this point. We still have so much fun doing it, and I think it's probably it's evolved from us talking about video game news and wrestling news to just having fun, and it's probably turned into more of a comedy podcast now than it is. It's more of a comedy podcast about video games and wrestling than anything else now. It's not informative. So if anyone comes to our podcast for information, they're going to be so disappointed. So a couple of shows ago, we did a call-in it was such a stupid idea. And I messaged Finn, I was like, look, I've got a funny idea. And when you so basically we had a goat calling in, and we pretended that it was the goat from Goat Simulator. So we just took a bunch of goat noises, really, really stupid goat noises. And so we asked questions, and the goat would respond, and we would pretend that we could understand what it was saying. So that's the kind of podcast that we're doing now. Nothing informative whatsoever, just so stupid. But you know what? We've gone back to recording every week again, and we're having so much fun with it at the minute. And I think that's the most important thing. I think it keeps us sane by doing insane, stupid things on the podcast. So yeah, it's gone from, we wanted to be a serious podcast about gaming news and wrestling news and giving our opinion. And we still do give our opinion on stuff. But we always, in a roundabout way, turn it into something stupid and make stupid jokes, and we just have fun with it. So it went from being serious to now it's not serious, and
yeah, I'm sure if I go back and listen to my first podcast, it'll be awful. I remember 13 people listened to the first podcast, and I was quite proud of 13 people. So yes, I remember put on Twitter more followers than Jesus. Because 13.
Hey, look. Any one person is better than no people. And I used to be in a band, and it's a long time ago now. And we always used to say, sometimes you would go to and play shows, and you'd be playing in front of like 4 people. But if those 4 people enjoyed it, that's the most important thing. Your time is well spent. So no matter how many people listen to the podcast, we're not exactly pulling trees up, and millions of people listen to our podcast, but we have a core group of people that listen to our podcast, and we chat about it in the Discord, and communicate on Twitter and stuff. And we do, we have a core group of people that come to the live shows that we do. We've just started doing them again for like,
oh wow, yeah.
So we call them the pre-show before the pre-show. and we discuss the WWE show. So we go live a couple of hours before the WWE pre-show would go live. So we call it the pre-show before the pre-show, and we talk with that core group of people that come along to these streams, and we have a great time. And that's the most important thing, I think. You know, when you first start, you're like, I want to be a success here. I want to make a success of this. But, you know, over time, and I'm sure you found the same, it's literally a case of we just want to have fun with this.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's turned into I just want to talk to Nick and Lance every week, mostly. Because if I didn't talk to Nick and Lance, I'd literally talk to my family and people at work. That's about it. So
But the most important thing is that you have fun with it, and I think that is the most important thing. You've got to have fun with it.
Yeah, I just say I used to be obsessed with looking at analytics and stuff like that, but I don't care these days.
Yeah, same. I don't care. We put the podcast out. We get some cheap laughs. We put clips on TikTok, and if it goes, you know, if the clips do well, they do well. If you know, and if it helps get eyes on the podcast, brilliant. But we're past the point of really caring now. We're just, I mean, my main focus now is, you know, is the only thing I feel like I could make a success of is commentary. But I love doing the podcast so much that, you know, I never want to stop doing the podcast. And that the podcast is so important to me.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
Without that, I wouldn't be doing commentary, and I wouldn't get to do podcasts like this. You know, which I consider a real privilege, because, you know, a few years ago, why would anyone want to speak to me? But now, you know, I consider it a real privilege that, you know, people would want to speak to me. And I think it's awesome.
Yeah, that was when we started the football podcast in 2013, it was just get an ex-Premier League player to come on. So we messaged like every random and Nicky Eden, who used to play for Birmingham and Barnsley, finally said yes. I was like, yes, we got a Premier League player on. And
nice.
That was good. And I kind of opened the floodgates because he enjoyed it. Then other people enjoyed it. And
oh, that's great. See, that's the thing. It only takes that one thing. It's like my buddies. So basically, with Games and Graps, we call ourselves Team Games and Graps Studios now. So we have a few podcasts on the podcast stream.
Yeah,
we have my own podcast, the Clubhouse Podcast, which is completely nonsense. Again, if you wanted to listen to a podcast for any sort of informative reason, that's not the podcast to listen to. All right, it's stupid. It's me swearing and being stupid for half an hour, 40 minutes. But my buddy Steve, who used to do the Games and Graps podcast with us, he started doing Added Time, which is a podcast which was like a live podcast that we started with Powered 4 TV. We used to do it live on a Sunday. But he sort of inherited the name, and he started doing weekly episodes of that podcast. And it's honestly fantastic. His football knowledge is next level, and he's putting out a phenomenal weekly football podcast.
Yeah, I still really enjoy doing the football podcast. Yeah, so when we started doing, like, I get like slightly United legends on. So like I interviewed Paul Parker and John Kurt. 6 o'clock in the morning, I had to interview Paul Parker because he lives in Thailand now, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I had to get him at the time. So it was like 8 o'clock in the evening there. So it was like, I think it was 7 o'clock in the morning here. So it was just like
so much coffee needed to interview Paul Parker in the morning.
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah, and John Curtis and people like this. I was like, it was so fun.
That's cool though. That's so cool. I mean, all these things, you can tell people that you've done this.
Pascal Chimbonda just after he won the World Cup.
Nice. Yeah, that's awesome. Like, what a name as well to interview. I love that. That's so good.
Yeah, but it was back in 2013 when everyone was like, what's a podcast? You're like, oh, just come on and chat to us for 20 minutes about your career.
Yeah, what's a podcast? They're everywhere now. But then, what's a podcast? So you one of the first.
Yeah, it was fun. We got nominated for Best Podcast at the... What's it called? The Football Blogging Awards in 2015.
Awesome.
That was so fun. Yeah. So we all trudged up to Manchester.
I would love Games and Graps to be nominated for a podcast award just for how stupid it is. I would love that. It would be the most ridiculously cool thing ever.
Yeah, we had to meet. Yeah, we met like Stan Collymore and John Barnes was the co-host with Bianca Westwood. And I was like, yeah,
Wow, that's cool.
so,
That's really cool.
and it was sponsored by Carlsberg, and yeah, so I just kept pulling Carlsberg on the table, and we were on
Nice.
the other half of the table's Muslims, so they weren't drinking. So it just free Carlsberg
Nice,
exports.
just necking Carlsberg. That's quality. I love that.
Yeah, and it's the only time ever I met my co-host Nick. That's the only time we've ever met in real life. So we've been
not a
doing
bad
podcasts.
place to meet. Not a bad time to meet.
Yeah, we've been doing podcasts together for 10 years. Met once in real life. Because he lives by Brighton, I live near Liverpool, so we just never meet.
Yeah.
So,
no, that's cool though. That is very cool.
Yeah, I'll put links in the description for if anyone wants to.
Definitely do that. Yeah,
check
for
out.
sure.
Yes. So. Right, so if you're a promoter for a day, promoter for an event, so using wrestlers you've either worked with, interviewed, commentated on. Wrestlers are associated to you in some way. If I give you a match type, you tell me who you put in that match. So.
Yes, for sure.
And as it's your show, every match can be 3-way, 4-way, 5-way, intergender.
Okay.
Throw a stupid stipulation on if you want. It's up to you.
Okay.
Okay, so who would be in your opening contest? Get the crowd excited.
Get the crowd excited. I would have Scotty Too Hotty.
Yes.
Just to get that crowd hyped up, you know. And having Wrestle. Man, it's difficult. I would have him. I'd have to have him wrestle a heel.
Yes.
Because Scotty Too Hotty has to be the face.
I couldn't imagine even when he was too hot, Scotty Taylor. I just didn't get him as a.
Of course, yeah, they were too hot at one point, weren't they? Heels. Annoying heels as well.
Yeah.
Lovable heels, I guess. Who would I have Scotty Too Hotty face? I would have. And I could have prepared much better for this, but I think it's when you sit and think about it, you're like, yeah, that would be really cool.
Yeah.
I would have Scotty Too Hotty face Jason Joshua, who is someone I very, I know very well. Jason Joshua, Big Daddy Unicorn, as a heel against Scotty Too Hotty in the opening contest. Scotty Too Hotty would have to win. I'd book him to win because I'm not having Jason Joshua win.
I'm gonna say you're having a bit of a feud with Joshua recently. So.
No. Yeah. Hey, look. He comes out in Hinckley and he throws his shirt at me at every single show, and it'll come back to haunt him one day. I promise him that.
Yes, he's starting training soon, Joshua.
There you go.
So.
That's it, exactly. Yeah. Watch yourself, boy.
That'll be fun. Yeah, I like Josh. What about a comedy style match?
Comedy style, I would have RC Chaos, my partner in crime, my comedy partner. I would have him, and I would have him in a singles match against Eddie Cobain, who wrestles sort of for APW and UKWA, and he's very eccentric, and he has Scratch My Poodle on the back of his singlet. So yeah, I would have Eddie Cobain and RC Chaos in a comedy, just a fun sort of back and forth Colt Cabana style match.
Yeah, that sounds fun. You put two comedy people against each other, or do you have a complete straight man and a comedy man? So it's just like, yeah. So
I would have two comedy people against each other. Go ridiculous.
Yeah.
Just go completely ridiculous. You're excited by Scotty Too Hotty beating Jason Joshua, which you definitely would do. Clean 1, 2, 3 with the worm, and then you just go full on ridiculous. And I've seen RC Chaos do karaoke contests in the ring. So the two of them, they're quite similar in the way. I mean, Eddie Cobain very eccentric, RC Chaos more of a face type, pump up the crowd kind of guy. I think they could have a really entertaining comedy style match.
Yeah, that sounds fun. Your women's title match?
Lizzie Evo.
So you commentate on some great women.
Honestly, it's ridiculous. I've been spoiled. I'd go fatal 4-way.
Yeah.
So I'd go Lizzie, Lana Austin, who I think is great, by the way. I think Lizzie and Lana are both fantastic. Alexis Falcon. and again, dude, so spoiled for choice. Charlie Morgan,
Yes.
fatal
Oh,
four-way for.
that'll be a
for the
fun
women.
match.
Be a great match. Yeah, I did. Charlie was on the last. She's on all the Wrestle Carnival shows that we do, but yeah, she wrestled Chantel Jordan at the last one in like a no holds barred match, and those two, like, they tore it down, man. They were good. It was so good. Chantel, shout out to Chantel as well. I think she's unbelievable. So young,
Stupidly
so incredibly talented. Could literally go all the way.
Is she even 20 yet? I can't remember. She's like,
not.
was she 16 when she wrestled Joey Janela or something in that street?
Yeah, she was stupid young then. Yeah. But I think she's 18, 19 now.
Yeah.
So she's insanely young, ridiculously talented, and she's unbelievably humble as well. So
yeah, when she's 23, 24, she's going to be sick. I hope she just...
Sky's the limit. Honestly, she's incredible now, and yeah, to be honest, I hadn't seen her for a couple of years before I saw her at Wrestle Carnival a couple of weeks back. It was great to see her. She's a great kid.
Yeah, she was against Alexis Falcon at TNT this time last year, and that was the first time I've seen her live. Oh,
yeah,
she's so much better live than she. I've seen her on YouTube and stuff. It's just like sick.
Yeah, Sky is the limit. But you know what? There's so much incredible female talent in this country. It's honestly insane. We've got the best women's wrestlers in the world here in this country. I can firmly believe that, and I think NXT UK, when it was up and running, that women's roster was better than any women's roster in any promotion in the world, and I will die on that hill.
You're saying WWE now; they're all over there. So Isla Dawn's just and
Stevie Turner.
I was just trying to think what. Yeah. It's Alba Fire now, isn't it? That's just Kaylee Ray. I was trying to think what her new name was. It's like Alba Fire.
Piper Niven's just resurfaced on Raw after that stint as Doudrop. So yeah, the amazing talent that we've produced in this country from a female standpoint is incredible. And I said to Lizzie, I was like, I have no doubt that she could reach that pinnacle again, even though now she's not with WWE anymore. I'm convinced that she can get back there.
Definitely. Cool. And mid-card title match? So like a workhorse title?
Eric Young.
Yes.
TJ Sky. Leon Slater.
Oh, he's fun.
Unbelievable. Robbie X. Joseph Connors. Go on, Fraser. I'm going 6-pack challenge here. How many is that? 4?
Yeah, I did a seminar with Joseph Connors recently. It was so fun. So.
Yeah, I'm on a show with him tomorrow night, Black Country Championship Wrestling, which I'm really excited for. Oh, there's so many, dude. There's so many. You know what? Take Eric Young out. Let's go. Leon Slater. Let's go Fatal 4-Way again. Leon Slater, Robbie X. By the way, those two, I saw them. They tore the house down at Wrestle Carnival the other month. So Leon Slater, Robbie X, Joseph Connors, and Nathan Cruz.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Unbelievable contrast of styles there as well.
Yeah, so experienced as well. It's just
yeah.
Leon Slater won the TNT Extreme title recently, and then Crowley cashed in on straight away. I wish I was there. The hate he would have got.
Yeah.
A hardcore Extreme Rules style match. So this could be anything from comedy 24/7, hardcore stuff, right up to death match. It can be whatever.
Chantel Jordan.
Oh yes,
because she's fully capable of it. Hotshot Joey Scott. I've seen him have some really good hardcore matches very recently. Who else? Big Effing Joe.
Yeah, he's fun.
Good Lord, man. Good Lord. Oh God, it's tough because it's really tough. I mean, if you're going straight up deathmatch, then I would pick Clint Margera and Big Effing Joe.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you were to throw all these people, in fact, shout out to Hotshot Joey Scott and Chantel Jordan.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go Big Effing Joe, Clint Margera, and Spike Trivet.
Spike Trivet. Ooh.
Yeah, I saw him have he had a DNA death match against Big Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds good. Your tag team title match?
Bolarama.
They're fun.
Yeah, and Pure Beef. Bill Cruz and
yes.
Yeah. Pure Beef.
And then to your main events?
Crowley has to be in there. One of the most consistent performers in the world at the minute, I would say.
Yeah.
Let's chuck Lycos Jim into that tag team match. Let's have a triple threat tag team match.
Yes.
This card's a mess.
It's amazing.
The thing is, you work with so many people, it's so difficult. There's people I'd love to get in there, like Big Guns Joe. I love Big Guns Joe. But, I think when you think about it, it's too much. And you're like, God, there's this person, there's that person.
Lots of people in the past have gone, well, would have a pre-show battle royal with everybody I haven't mentioned.
Yeah, we have a rumble. Yeah, someone can do the raffle or something. Okay, Crowley for sure. In there with Eric Young.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to put TJ Sky in there as well because I'm such a huge fan of TJ Sky, and he's done a lot for me. Getting me into the business anyway, and he's an unbelievable competitor, underrated, I think. So Crowley, TJ Sky, Darius, unbelievable. Yeah, just everywhere at the minute. He's everyone's champion. I'm pretty certain of that at this point.
Yeah, he got about 70 quid out of a drunk Chris this time last year.
Nice.
I think I came in with a hoodie, 2 t-shirts.
He's on the show tomorrow night as well. Him and Dan Maloney are tagging.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's go. Crowley, Eric Young, TJ Sky, and Darius.
Yes.
Fatal 4-way.
Elimination.
We'll go elimination, yeah.
Yes.
But I don't know who would win.
Oh, that's an amazing card. I'd love to watch that. It's like a Britwres WrestleMania.
Yeah, I know. Seriously, I need another night. I'd need 2 nights worth of card to be able to get everybody on that I like.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That's a good. Yeah. Cool. So, what's the show you're discussing? I can put tickets in the description. So.
Yeah, Black Country Championship Wrestling tomorrow night. It's I guess by the time this podcast comes out, it would have been and gone. But pretty certain it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, no, it's coming out tomorrow.
Oh, it is coming out tomorrow. Well, tonight then I'm doing Black Country Championship Wrestling, but the show is actually sold out. It's in Tipton. It's an unbelievable card. Black Country Championship Wrestling. This is going to be my debut for them.
Oh wow!
Black Country is co-owned by RC Chaos, so. He's brought me in to do commentary with him for this show and the shows going forward. It's going to be my commentary debut for them tomorrow. It's sold out at Tipton at Allen's Sports Bar, and I'm really excited for it. So
that sounds amazing.
It's going to be great.
Just a few matches you've mentioned so far sounds like an amazing card. So
yeah, it's going to be nuts. Honestly, it's going to be nuts.
Cool. So where else can people see you in the near future?
I'm going to be at Wrestling in Hinckley, APW on the 4th of March in Telford. Wrestling in Hinckley on the 11th of March in Hinckley. Slam Masters in Cardiff.
It's another great game, Slam Masters.
Yeah.
Saturday Night Slam Masters. I
Yeah,
love playing that.
Oh, yeah, dude. I've got that on my Switch, right? And it is so difficult now. Like when you go back and play it now, it's so hard.
Oh, I've not played it since the 90s.
Dude, it's so difficult, believe me. Slam Masters. Then there's an SWA show that I'm going to be. Honestly, this is probably going to be my busiest year, but I'm all over the place this year. So
sounds great.
You can find me anyway. If you are at a show and there's commentary there and you see me, just come and say hello. I'll always say hello.
Cool. And before we go, do you want to promote any social media you have?
So you can find me on Twitter at Sonny_club, because somebody has already got at Sonny Club, which I'm fuming about. He doesn't even use his Twitter. His Twitter's just dormant and I can't use it. And then I'm at Sonny Club on Instagram and Facebook.
Yes, I'll put links in the description to your social media and to all your podcasts and everything.
Yeah, everything everywhere is basically me summed up. Yeah.
Cool. So I've really enjoyed speeches there. I'd love to have you on again in the future. That was a lot of fun.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, we'll definitely love to come on again.